Part 66. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 651. Chapter 651, BeautifulFemaleLead, 1. What kind of rule is this? Yan Xianxia was speechless. Ji Kongfen narrowed his eyes and said, try it, one moment and another. The implication is that the Ji family was in its heyday at that time, and now he is the only one left in the Ji family. There is also the soul of Gizmo, plus the soul of Luo Lukai, so the ancestors of the Ji family should not be picky. In his heart, Luo can go wherever he can go. Gizmo kept watching Ji Zhong's reaction. Before, when Ji Zhong walked that road in Ji Garden, there was a test. It was a fantasy test. Although it was a test of his loyalty to feelings, his choice was also it surprised him. The men of the Ji family are very affectionate and loyal to their partners, even the human emperor. There is such a motto in the Ji family's ancestral motto that one will be a pair for life. You have chosen a wife, even if your wife walks ahead of you, you will not be able to marry again for the rest of your life. Gizmo doesn't know why the ancestors of the Ji family have such high demands on relationships, but the Ji family still has the blood of their ancestors in their bodies, and they are very affectionate. No one in the past generations has broken this family rule. However, no matter how much emphasis is placed on feelings, there is no one like Ji Zhong. When faced with a choice, he will give priority to Yan Xianxia without even thinking about it, and he will never hesitate. This is what shocked him. After all, the women who married into the Ji family in the past were mainly from the Ji family. He is also a man himself, and he once had a woman he liked. He knows very well what Ji Zhong's feelings mean. Maybe in his heart, the Ji family is not as important as Yu Xianxia. He is not worried about Ji Zhong's strength, but he is worried about whether his feelings will affect the revival of the Ji family because of his feelings. More than 30,000 years have passed, and Gizmo has adapted to the demise of the Ji family, especially after learning from Yan Xianxia that the mainland has wiped out the Ji family, leaving only the name of the Xuanhuan family. He knew that the road to recovery for the Ji family would be difficult. Therefore, he was curious about Ji Zhong's thoughts at this time. Yan Xianxia turned her head and glanced at the palace. What should we do here? There are many people outside. Ji Zhong glanced outside. At this time, there was a sea of people outside. He only glanced at it and then looked away. They can't get in. Let's go to the tribe first and then come back here. Yan Xianxia nodded. There are still the last 9 steps of Ji Garden that have not been completed. The hall dedicated to the ancestors of the Ji family has not been entered yet. Moreover, she has not gone to see the palace yet. Since Ji Zhong is back, this place is also it can't continue to be abandoned like this. Ji Zhong took Yan Xianxia's hand and glanced at Gizmo. Come to me. Gizmo couldn't leave here after becoming a soul 30,000 years ago and returned here. Now that he can finally leave here and go to his clan, he finally felt a wave of emotion in his heart. He floated to Ji Zhong's side, only 1 step away from him. He instantly felt an attraction coming from Ji Zhong's body. His soul was tightly absorbed and he could not move. Only then did he realize that everything the human emperor said at that time was true, and his soul would really be controlled by the descendants of the Ji family who would come back to accept the complete inheritance in the future. He did not resist. This was something he knew 30,000 years ago. Ji Zhong raised his hand, and a golden light flashed across them. The two of them disappeared at the entrance of the palace, and the palace door slowly closed. In a flash of golden light, the two of them appeared at the entrance of a lush green valley. Gizmo's face was still in shock. Ji Zhong could actually use the mysterious golden light. It was the strongest mysterious pattern among the Ji family's mysterious patterns, Ji Yin. Ji Zhong just carved a teleportation mysterious pattern directly in the void. This is unique to the Ji family's mysterious pattern technique. He actually knows it now and uses it so purely that Gizmo can't understand. Could it be that he had already finished learning G Seal before accepting the inheritance from the G family? Yan Xiangloo didn't know this, so naturally she wouldn't be curious. Besides, Ji Zhong was a monster-like existence among monks, and she was already used to it. It was dark at this time, but it did not affect their sight. This was a valley, and the vigorous breath of life rushed towards them. Yan Xiangloo lamented that the land of the Ji family was completely different from the ruins. Everyone thought that the place where the ruins were was the Ji family's land. In fact, this was the real land of the Ji family. Gizmo came back to his senses and looked at the entrance of his tribe, which he had not returned to for 30,000 years. He had been here countless times. Yan Xiangloo said, "Why did the Ji family choose this place as their clan land?" She naturally asked Gizmo this question. Gizmo explained, "This is the place where the first ancestor of the Ji family practiced. It later became the Ji family's clan. Only the successive human emperors, selected elders, and talented descendants have the opportunity to come here. Others, my clan members, will never have the chance to come here, let alone where the Ji family's clan is." Yan Xiangloo's lips twitched. "Your Ji family's feelings are based on your strength." Gizmo smiled. "Strength is the most important thing in any family in this world. Without strength, it is impossible to protect the clan members. Although those clan members will never have the chance to come here in their lives, it is precisely because of the people here that they can enjoy it safely, a wealthy life." That's true. Yan Xiangloo knew this was the truth. Not only in the fantasy world, but also in the ordinary world she once lived in, isn't it the same? How to get in? Yan Xiangloo asked, looking at the weeds that were taller than her. Should she just break in? Gizmo looked at Ji Zhong. If he wanted to get in here, he could only rely on himself. He couldn't do anything. The human emperor said that in the future, he can only obey the orders of those who come back to get the Phoenix token, and watch how they restore the glory of the family, and do not interfere with any of their decisions or ideas. Ji Zhong held Yan Xiangloo's hand without letting go. He raised his hand and struck a golden light at the weeds, trees, and other plants blocking the way. Wherever the golden light touched, all the plants automatically moved out of the way, and a path paved with bluestones appeared in front of them, winding its way into the valley. Yan Xiangloo's eyes lit up. Why did she feel that the power of Ji Zhong's mysterious pattern seemed to have doubled in strength? "Let's go." Ji Zhong took Yan Xiangloo's hand and walked forward, with Gizmo following behind them. Yan Xiangloo was still a little uneasy, not sure if she could go in. Stepping onto the bluestone, Yan Xiangloo did not feel the repulsive force. She knew that she could indeed go in. Gizmo, who was following them, was also surprised that she could actually come in. She was the number one member of the Ji family. Although he was surprised, he could already accept the fact that Yan Xiangloo once again became the number one woman in the Ji family. The path was winding and not short. After walking for a while, the front suddenly opened up. Yan Xiangloo and Ji Zhong looked at each other and stopped. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 652. Chapter 652, Ji Family Land, 2. In front of it is a circular jade platform with steps all around, no more and no less, 9 steps in total. On the steps is a spacious circular platform. The platform and a circle of steps are like a whole, as if they were carved out of a huge jade stone. What shocked the two of them was that a person was floating in the center of the platform. It looked like Gizmo, who was following them. It should be his body. Both of them were surprised that Gizmo's body was still there after 30,000 years. The snow-white robe is exactly the same as Gizmo's soul body, except that his body has his eyes closed, and the robe is still dancing in the wind, as if he is meditating. They both looked back at Gizmo, and Gizmo was also stunned. He didn't expect that 30,000 years had passed, but his body was still intact, and he still maintained the same appearance as when his soul was stripped away. Yan Xianglego swallowed her saliva and suppressed the shock in her heart. She had already seen several powerful spiritual beings taking photos, the latest being Master Shi. However, this was the first time I saw this body that had lost its soul 30,000 years ago. She raised her head and glanced at Zhizhong. It's been more than 30,000 years, won't it all dissipate with just a touch? There was no such thing in the fantasy novels she read in her previous life. If that was really the case, 30,000 years had passed. How cruel it would be for Gizmo to see his own body dissipate again. Zhizhong shook his head and said, his body is protected by the consciousness of 38 powerful men and the human emperor. It is no different from when his soul was stripped away 30,000 years ago. If there is a way to bring his soul back, reintegrate into the body and he can be resurrected again. Yu Xianglego was shocked. This was okay. Is there anything Ji Yinlai can do? Yan Xianglego asked. Zhizhong shook his head, no. Ji Yinzong didn't have a solution, so why did the human emperor keep Gizmo's body? Suddenly, something flashed through Yan Xianglego's mind. She predicted that she might be able to do it, but she didn't know exactly how to do it yet. She had to continue to learn the soul control technique. Since you don't know what to do, don't make a promise. She didn't say it out loud. Besides, she didn't know what kind of existence Gizmo was. Who knew whether all this was true? Just like everything she encountered in a dream when her soul left her body, it was up to her to distinguish which was true and which was false. One mistake would be fatal. She and Zhizhong cannot afford to lose. She looked at Gizmo. Do you know how to make the soul return to the body again? Gizmo shook his head. I have heard before that people with the ability to transcend tribulations can have their souls leave the body, but they can return to the body within a short period of time. I have never heard that the souls can go back after leaving the body for 30,000 years. The main thing is, whose body can survive for more than 30,000 years without a soul? He was surprised to see his body again when he returned to his clan. I don't know whether it was because his body was like this after his soul left the body after the formation was activated, or whether the human emperor had other intentions to stay behind. Yan Xianglego raised her eyebrows. At this time, Gizmo was in the spirit body, and she was the heavenly master. Gizmo said that she knew it well without lying, but Gizmo really didn't know. Do you want to go back to the body? Yan Xianglego asked again. Gizmo was stunned. Can I still go back? He has existed in the state of soul body for more than 30,000 years and is used to it. One day someone asked him if he still wanted to have a body or his original body. He didn't know what he was thinking. Without waiting for his answer, Yan Xianglego said again, you can think about it slowly, there is nothing you can do now anyway. Yan Xianglego suddenly asked this question. The instinctive reaction is the most real. Gizmo didn't directly answer whether he wanted to or not, which meant that he still wanted to. Who would want to die if he could live? Otherwise, why would the monks practice so hard to increase their longevity? Now that you can't do it yourself, don't give others hope and let them down. Wait until you can do it. Gizmo's mouth twitched. Is this girl teasing him? Let's keep it like this for now. Zhizhong pulled Yan Xianglego around the jade platform without even touching the steps, and walked towards the back. Whether Gizmo can have his own body again depends on Luoluo, but he won't say it, let alone tell Gizmo. This will only happen if Luoluo is willing to help him. I hope Gizmo is smarter and doesn't mess with him. Luoluo is bored. Gizmo also followed. As he walked, he looked up and saw that his body was exactly the same as before, without any change. This feeling of looking at himself made him feel some inexplicable emotions welling up in his heart. It's weird anyway. Withdrawing his gaze, Gizmo smiled bitterly. Who would be so lucky as him to see his body again after 30,000 years? This kind of luck is unprecedented and unprecedented. Xuanhuan took Yan Xiangluo's hand and walked around the jade platform into the valley. On the other side of the jade platform, there is still a winding path with tall trees and weeds on both sides of the road. However, the road here is not occupied by weeds. Not only is it not occupied, but it is also very clean. After walking for a while, their eyes suddenly became clear again, and a tall stone archway appeared in front of them. The stone archway is engraved with these 3 words: "Don't forget the valley." Yan Xiangluo looked at these 3 words and said curiously, "Your G family is really interesting. This is a special family." "What's so special?" Xuanhuan asked. Yan Xiangluo pointed her slender fingers at the words on the stone archway and said, "The family archway says Forget Not Forget Valley. If I hadn't known that this is the clan land of your G family, I would have doubted that this place is some kind of worldly place with unbroken hearts. People who live in incomplete seclusion live here." "Why do you say that?" Xuanhuan said. "Funny. Look, don't forget, that is, don't forget. If you want to always remember, it doesn't mean that your heart is not broken, and if your heart is not broken, it doesn't mean that your seclusion is incomplete," Yu Xiangluo explained. Xuanhuan smiled and said, "It makes sense. Yeah, you think so too, right? I'm curious about who your ancestors of the G family don't want to forget? Or what they don't want to forget." Yan Xiangluo raised and lowered her brows. Xuanhuan raised his other hand and flicked her forehead. "I'm afraid Luoluo's curiosity cannot be satisfied." Yan Xiangluo slapped his hand away and rolled her eyes at him. "That's not necessarily the case. Hasn't this all come to the land of the G family? Maybe some family development history has been recorded, and the origin of the 3 characters on the stone archway may be mentioned." Gizmo, who was following them, wanted to tell them the meaning of these 3 words, but seeing how harmoniously they talked, he wisely kept his mouth shut. Forget it, let them find out on their own. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 653. Chapter 653, The Man of Destiny. Yan Xiangluo and Xuanhuan stood in front of the stone archway and looked at it. Then they walked hand in hand under the stone archway. They both felt as if they had passed through a ripple. "This stone archway has a barrier?" The 2 looked at each other and turned back at the same time. Sure enough, Gizmo was standing outside the stone archway and did not come in. "Can't you come in?" Xuanhuan asked. Gizmo nodded, looking a little helpless. 30,000 years later, he had forgotten that the clan's land was divided into 2 parts, the inner and outer parts, with the stone archway as the dividing line. There were prohibitions inside the stone archway, and the soul body could not enter. This it was to prevent some soul bodies from staying in the G family's land. Yan Xiangluo was speechless. People like her who were not named G came in, but Gizmo, a pure member of the G family, no, the spirit of the G family was kept out. His almond-shaped eyes flashed suddenly, wondering if there was any way to let Gizmo in. After all, among the 3 of them, only Gizmo had been here before and was relatively familiar with it. Before she could think of a way, Xuanhuan had already spoken, "Wait for us here." After saying that, she took Yan Xiangluo and walked inside. Yan Xiangluo glanced at him without saying anything. This was a matter for their G family, and it was up to him to decide. After walking a certain distance, Xuanhuan said, "Luoluo, don't trust anyone easily, not even the G family members." Yan Xiangluo was stunned, looked up at him, and saw Xuanhuan looking at her tenderly. "Although I have the blood of the G family, what we know is what the ancestors of the G family and Gizmo told us. As for the authenticity, we can't be sure now. Even if it is confirmed that these are true, In my case, in my heart, nothing is more important than Luoluo's safety, so don't trust anyone except me, Luoluo. Yan Xiongluo's heart trembled fiercely. Although Ji Zhong's tone was very gentle when he said these words, he was very firm, which made her feel very solemn. Okay, Yan Xiongluo responded with only one word. In fact, she has now discovered that subconsciously, she will automatically trust Ji Zhong. Although she no longer relies on him, she will still trust him. This trust seems to be engraved in her bones, just like when Master Shi asked her where she was going, she said without hesitation that she was coming to the Ji family. At this time, she was a little curious about what Master Shi was thinking at that time. However, since he did not stop her from coming here, it meant that the Ji family should not be dangerous to her. Ji Zhong felt relieved when he saw her answer. Although Luoluo is not easy to trust anyone, she doesn't know it herself. She is kind at heart. Although this is a good character, she will suffer in some things. It seems that she isolates herself from the world, but when you really need help, she will consider whether it is safe and then help you. Just like when she saw him having his first attack of poison, if it were any woman, seeing her newly divorced fiancé like this, she would feel very relieved and wouldn't be able to help. Although she asked for benefits, it was just a way for her to protect herself. She used this method to establish a clear relationship with the other party and did not want to get involved. But people in this world are unpredictable, and some people cannot tell anything on the surface. They worry that Luoluo will be harmed because of his good intentions. Why are there so many buildings in the Ji family's land? Ji Zhong's thoughts were still racing, while Yan Xiongluo's attention was already focused on the Ji family's buildings. Ji Zhong looked over and saw a large building complex in front of him. Each building was very exquisite and luxurious. There was a large courtyard behind the building complex. On the courtyard wall, you could see the cornices of the buildings and the shining glazed tiles. From the surface alone, it can be seen that the Ji family spent a lot of money in building it. Ji Zhong had accepted the family inheritance, so he naturally knew the origins of the Ji family, but he didn't reveal much in front of Gizmo. This is the place where the first generation ancestor of the Ji family practiced, and it was also the place where he met his beloved woman. The two spent the most relaxing and beautiful time in their lives here. Later, due to disputes between various forces, they had to participate in. After that, wars broke out everywhere. In the battles, the ancestors of the Ji family improved rapidly, and with their strong Xuanhuan talent, they unified the spiritual world and became the human emperor at that time. It is designated as a clan place by them, and the elders live here, and some talented descendants are also sent here to be taught by the elders. The tokens in our hands are not carved by them. They found it here, because this is where they met, and they also found the Phoenix token, so they regarded the pair of tokens as tokens of love, and later as tokens of love for the emperor and queen, and they were passed down from generation to generation. But no one knows the true origin of the token. It was passed down orally from emperor to emperor throughout the ages. Yan Xiongluo said in surprise, this token was not refined by the Ji family, but was found here. Is it also together with the painting and the dagger? Ji Zhong said, I thought the same way when I got the token. Even if they are not together, they must be related. Yu Xiongluo's apricot eyes flashed with deep thought. Ji Zhong held her hand and continued to walk inside, saying as he walked, did Gizmo tell you that the Ji family was calculated to be exterminated by Yun Zongtian's people because of the Xuanhuan Kung Fu Ji seal? Yan Xiongluo's eyes widened, that's what he said, didn't he? Ji Zhong narrowed his eyes, it can only be regarded as one of them, and the most important point is the main reason why they did not consider the safety of the mainland and attacked the Ji family. Yan Xiongluo asked doubtfully, does the Ji family have any secrets? Smart Ji Zhong looked down at the bright girl who looked up at him, and praised her gently. Yan Xiongluo was speechless, I'm not a child. How can I use him to treat me like a child? Zhizhong smiled, I am willing to treat Luo like a child. Yanxiang Luo rolled her eyes at him, you are willing but I am not willing yet. I have finally grown up and don't want to be a child. Zhizhong's joyful laughter echoed over the clan. The bloodline of the Ji family is very special, especially the strongest person in each generation. What is special is not his cultivation talent and Xuanhuan talent, but his destiny. Zhizhong continued. Luck. Yanxiang Luo thought that she couldn't see Zhizhong's destiny. Could it be because of this? Every generation of the Ji family will have a super strong person. Needless to say, this strong person's talent and strength are very strong, and his luck is also very special, which can be said to be very strong. No matter what life or death environment, he can find a glimmer of hope. According to people in Yunzhongtian, this destiny was called destiny in ancient times, and even heavenly masters cannot see through the destiny of people with destiny. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 654. Chapter 654 Qingyun Pavilion, 1. This is the first time that Yanxiang Luo has heard of such a fortune. Although she is now a heavenly master, she knows very little when she first started, but she also understands why she cannot see through Zhizhong's destiny. I can't see that this is the reason for your luck, Yanxiang Luo asked. Yes, I am the first person to have destiny after the Ji family was exterminated. Zhizhong sighed. He didn't know whether this was a good thing or not. You know, I was infected with fetal poison in my mother's womb. If I were an ordinary person, I would have died as soon as I was born, but I survived. Although it is painful every time the poison occurs, there is always a glimmer of hope at the critical moment of life and death. Zhizhong said. Yanxiang Luo asked curiously, so, every human emperor is a person with destiny? Zhizhudian nodded, that's what the human emperor said, but when I asked him why there are people with such luck in every generation of the Ji family, the human emperor said that he didn't know either. Only those who can open the Qingyun pavilion of the clan, only then can we know the reason, but no human emperor has ever been able to open Qingyun pavilion. Yanxiang understood. So you want to come to the tribe first just to see if you can open Qingyun pavilion? Zhizhong said, this is just one of them. The Ji family also has a magic weapon in the clan. I must come and get it? Oh, there's still a baby. Yanxiang Luo's apricot eyes suddenly lit up. Zhizhong was helpless with such a money-obsessed look. He said dotingly, not only are there magic weapons, but there are also treasures accumulated by the Ji family over the generations. All the treasures will be given to Luo as betrothal gifts. How about that? Yanxiang Luo curled her lips and asked, am I such a greedy person? Zhizhong smiled and shook his head, no. Even he wouldn't dare to say yes. Yanxiang Luo knew from his smile that he was telling the truth, so she rolled her eyes at him and said, where is Qingyun pavilion? Zhizhong pointed to the courtyard in front, that's where the emperor and the elders of the Ji family hold meetings. Qingyun pavilion is behind the meeting hall. Yanxiang Luo immediately pulled him to speed up, let's go take a look. Zhizhong let her pull him towards the yard. Walking to the door of the courtyard, the two of them looked up at the words on the door plaque. Yanxiang Luo read out, Taiyunyuan? Yunzhang Palace, Yunshangtian, Qingyun Pavilion, this is Taiyunyuan again, why are they all the same as Yunshan? It doesn't matter, do they all think that above the clouds is the ninth heaven they long for? Maybe a faint light flashed through Zhizhong's phoenix eyes. What secrets does the Ji family have? It's not like we can't fly above the clouds. When flying in the air there's nothing above the clouds, Yanxiang Luo said in confusion. She felt that these names all contain the word cloud and should have other meanings. Zhizhong's eyes lit up. There was nothing on the clouds. Isn't it just empty? What's the purpose of naming it with the word empty? How do you open this door? Yanxiang Luo pushed the door, but it didn't move at all. Xuanhuan raised his hand and a drop of blood flew out from his fingertips and landed on the door knocker. The door immediately opened slowly with a creaking sound. Yanxiangluo looked at Xuanhuan's hands and then at the door. Does this also require recognition of the owner? Xuanhuan's hand that had not yet been withdrawn turned and flicked her forehead. This is not to recognize the master, but to confirm the bloodline. The man was addicted to playing. Yanxiangluo touched her forehead and protested, "Don't play on my forehead." "Who makes Luoluo so cute?" Xuanhuan didn't agree. After saying that, he pulled her in without waiting for her to resist again. As soon as she entered, Yanxiangluo's eyes and thoughts were attracted by the patterns on the screen wall of the courtyard, and she immediately forgot to warn Jiju to flick her forehead again. "Hey, are these the 4 legendary beasts?" "It should be," Xuanhuan said. 4 mythical beasts are carved on the screen wall. From their shapes, it can be seen that they are the 4 legendary mythical beasts, Qinglong, White Tiger, Suzaku, and Xuanhuan, each occupying one side. Green Dragon is in the east, White Tiger is in the west, Xuanhuan is in the north, and Red Bird is in the south. The 4 mythical beasts all have their heads facing inward, but strangely, the center position is empty. Xuanhuan frowned. Whose screen wall would be carved with the 4 mythical beasts? Who would dare? The 4 mythical beasts cannot be blasphemed. If they are carved like this on the screen wall at the entrance, aren't you afraid of offending the mythical beasts and getting retaliated against? The two of them looked at it and walked around the screen wall to see what else might surprise them. Going around the screen wall is a square courtyard, which is quite large and has rooms on all sides. Directly in front is the meeting hall. All the houses are very luxurious with carved beams and painted beams. Just these carvings will cost a lot of manpower and financial resources. But there is one strange thing about this courtyard. If you want to go to the backyard, you have to go through the meeting hall. There is no other corner door. Xuanhuan pushed open the door of the meeting hall, and a simple atmosphere hit his face. The inside is spotlessly clean. From the placement and number of seats, it can be seen that there are more than 30 people discussing things here at most. How many elders were there in the G family at that time? The two did not stop in the meeting hall, but held hands as they passed by. Yanxiangluo understood that the G family's magic weapon was not in the meeting hall. Going through the assembly hall, there is a huge courtyard behind it. There are no houses in this courtyard except the assembly hall, but the assembly hall only has a door facing the courtyard and not a single window. In other words, people outside cannot see what is in the courtyard unless they come out of the door. There are many kinds of flowers planted in the courtyard. It is already late autumn, but the temperature here is still very warm and there are still many flowers in bloom. No one has taken care of it for 30,000 years, but this place is actually so tidy that it looks like it is tidied up every day. But there are not a single tree here, and there is a 3-story loft in the center surrounded by flowers. If the building outside is considered luxurious, this loft cannot be described as luxurious. The 3-story attic is made entirely of white crystal stones. The outside is carved with crystal stones of various colors and inlaid with different patterns. Although there are so many colors, the whole attic does not look rustic at all. On the contrary, there is a feeling that it is not a human building. The plaque with the 3 words Xuanhuan Pavilion is hung on the 3rd floor. The font is in gold, and the familiar feeling of oppression comes again. "Can I go into Xuanhuan Pavilion?" Yanxiangluo asked in a low voice. Xuanhuan said, "Try it. If you can, go in. If you can't, just wait for me outside." Yanxiangluo nodded, "Okay." That's all she can do, she's already here. If she can't get in, she can only wait for Xuanhuan outside. The two of them walked hand in hand to Xuanhuan Pavilion. "Have you noticed that the flowers here have no fragrance?" Yanxiangluo looked at the flowers on both sides strangely. She sensed that the flowers here were full of vitality, but why was there no floral fragrance? Jizhong also discovered that so many flowers have no fragrance at all. Yan Xianglou reached out and touched the flower closest to her, and she stopped immediately. End of this chapter. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 655. Chapter 655 Qingyun Pavilion, 2. What's wrong? Jizhong asked. Yan Xianglou pointed at the flower and said, You touch it? Jizhong touched the petals lightly, then pinched them again, and asked in surprise, Why is it so hard? He naturally knows this flower. Peony represents wealth and honor. In the past, many peonies were planted in the Tianshan Empire Palace in Tianqian continent. The petals are so delicate. How come these petals are as hard as those carved from jade? Looking far ahead, if you don't touch the flowers here, you won't know that the petals will be so hard. The flowers here are very vigorous and are not dead. However, even if they don't have fragrance, the petals are still so hard. It's so abnormal. Yan Xianglou touched other flowers, and the same was true, and then pinched the flower. The leaves are also equally hard. Jizhong raised his hand and grabbed a flower to pick it off, but the flower didn't move at all. Although he didn't use his spiritual power, the flower couldn't be that strong. For the first time, the word solid is associated with flowers. Jizhong used his spiritual power, but he still couldn't pick the flowers. Ruan Xianglou said, First see if you can enter Qingyun Pavilion. The flowers here should have been there for 30,000 years. Maybe it was like this 30,000 years ago. There were so many flowers in bloom, and then time stopped at that moment. But the flower is alive, so the power of the flower's growth is used to strengthen the flower. Jizhong knew that Yang Xianglou had 5 elements of wood beads and had a strong sense of vitality. Since she said so, the flower must be real. Furthermore, he also possesses the power of the 5 elements. Although he cannot sense the vitality, he can still perceive the power of the wood element very clearly. The two of them walked quickly to Qingyun Pavilion. Jizhong did not hesitate, raised his hand and knocked a drop of his blood on the door knocker of Qingyun Pavilion. A while passed and the door did not open. Yan Xianglou looked at Jizhong and said, You can't get in either. Jizhong frowned. No one in the Ji family who had fortune could enter, so it was no surprise that he himself couldn't get in. He was curious about what level of fortune can people in the Ji family get in? Seeing Jizhong's expression, Yan Xianglou knew that he really couldn't get in, and sighed, You can't get in, and I can't even get in. Her words made Jizhong's eyes light up. Luoluo, you can also put a drop of blood on it and try it. Yan Xianglou blinked, Isn't this place only your Ji family can enter? My surname is not Ji. If your ancestors blame me for dirtying the door of Qingyun Pavilion, I can't bear the responsibility. Jizhong twitched the corner of his mouth, You are still standing here without the blood of the Ji family. Yan Xianglou thought about it, too. Could it be that she was here just to accompany Jizhong into Qingyun Pavilion? No, this Qingyun Pavilion requires the blood of the 2 emperors and their husbands to enter, right? But he and Jizhong are not married yet, so they are not considered husband and wife. Is this okay? However, it doesn't hurt to give it a try. She immediately stretched out her finger, forced a drop of blood to fall on Jizhong's blood, and then stared at the door with her big eyes. With a creak, the door really opened. Yan Xianglou looked at Jizhong in shock, That's really the case. Jizhong smiled, This time Luoluo doesn't have to worry about not being able to get in. Her blood is needed to open the door, how can it be impossible to get in? Yan Xianglou thought the same way, and stepped in together with Jizhong, but as Jizhong entered, she was blocked by a force, and the hands they were holding were separated by this force. Yan Xiang was so angry that she wanted to curse. The door that was opened with her blood actually refused to let her in. Is this the best way to show off? Jizhong was also stunned, And he came out again. Luo go in and try it yourself. Yanxiang Luo tried to go in again, but was still blocked by a force. She sighed, I don't like your Ji family a little now. Ji Zhekong's face was covered with black lines. Qingyun Pavilion really didn't give him any face. If Luo's blood was not used, it would be fine if she was not allowed in. Who would be happy if someone else's blood was used and they were not allowed in? Qingyun Pavilion was simply the biggest stumbling block in his pursuit of his wife. I won't go in either. Ji Zheshong glanced at the door, turned around, and pulled Yanxiang Luo back. Yanxiang Luo pulled him and said, the door is open, why don't you go in? Don't you want to know what secrets the Ji family has? Ji Zheshong said indifferently, it doesn't matter whether you know or not. Nothing can affect me. I just follow the path I want to take and do what I want to do. In fact, this is what he really thinks in his heart. It is his father's last wish to come to Ji's house to accept the inheritance, and he must fulfill it. After all, his father is the only person who treats him well in the heavenly punishment continent. If he hadn't met Luo later, he would have been ruthless in his life. Spent. Whether it is the Ji family here or the Ji family in the Tianshun Empire, he has no sense of belonging. It is too difficult for a person to feel a sense of belonging without a warm place. Yanxiang Luo said helplessly, if you know yourself and your enemy, you can fight 100 battles. It's better to know. Since knowing it or not doesn't affect your decision, why not go in and take a look? Ji Zheshong looked down at her and said, Qingyun Pavilion has made Luo unhappy. Yanxiang Luo was speechless. I just said casually, this is where your Ji family's biggest secret is. So many descendants of the Ji family can't go in. I won't be angry if I can't go in. I'm really not angry. You can go ahead. Yanxiang Luo pulled Ji Zheshong back to the door and pushed him in. Ji Zheshong looked at Yanxiang Luo and then at the door of Qingyun Pavilion. Okay, then I'll listen to Luo. Since Luo let him in, let's go in and take a look. He really wanted to take away the Ji family's magic weapon and leave the clan. After Ji Zheshong entered, the door of Qingyun Pavilion was not closed. Yanxiang Luo stood at the door and could not see anything inside. It seemed that something was blocking his sight. After Ji Zheshong took another step inside, his figure Yanxiang Luo can't be seen either. Yanxiang Luo curled her lips. Everyone is making it so mysterious, why can't they be more direct? Well, I don't know when Zhekong will come out, what should I do? Yanxiang Luo muttered. She turned to look at the flowers in the courtyard and walked over to study them. She wanted to know where the fragrance of these flowers went. Since it is a real flower, it must have a fragrance, but I can't smell a trace of fragrance. Where did the fragrance of the flowers go? Yanxiang stayed outside to study where the fragrance of flowers had gone, but Ji Zhekong inside knew where the fragrance of flowers had gone. At this time, he was standing on the first floor of Qingyun Pavilion. The whole building was full of floral fragrance, but the smell was not very comfortable. The main reason was that the fragrance of so many flowers was mixed together, and the fragrance was so strong and choking, how could it be comfortable? Qingyun Pavilion actually inhales the fragrance of the flowers outside. Could it be that there is a fragrance of flowers that lasts for 30,000 years? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 656. Chapter 656, The White Tiger, the Divine Beast. What is the purpose of Qingyun Pavilion absorbing the fragrance of these flowers? Ji Zheshong glanced around. There was nothing on the first floor of Qingyun Pavilion. It was very empty. Apart from the strong fragrance of flowers, there was nothing special about it. He glanced at the stairs leading to the second floor, walked over, And felt it? He didn't sense anything, so he tentatively walked up. There was no obstacle, and it seemed that it had no effect on experience. I walked to the second floor easily. It was still very empty, but the concentration of the floral fragrance was much reduced. I continued walking up the stairs. When we arrived on the third floor, as soon as we stepped on the last step, the fragrance of flowers suddenly disappeared. There was finally a change inside. It turns out that the floral fragrance only exists on the first and second floors, but there is nothing on the first and second floors. What is the floral fragrance used for? Although the third floor is not empty, it can also be described as empty, because in the huge space, there is only an almost transparent ball suspended in the middle. Xuanhuan looked at the ball and felt no sense of rejection or danger. He walked over and the ball suddenly lit up, flickering, as if he was looking forward to his arrival. Xuanhuan stretched out his finger and touched it. The ball not only did not move away, but also came closer to him. He stretched out his hand to hold the ball, and the ball immediately fell into his palm. The diameter of the ball is as big as a plate. It looks light, but it feels quite heavy when it falls in his hand. It makes his hand fall down. It took him some strength to hold it up. What is this sphere? He came here just to know why Taoist priests appear in every generation of the Ji family. Is it possible that this ball is a memory ball? Xuanhuan walked around the third floor with the ball in his hands. After careful inspection, he determined that this was the only thing in Qingyun Pavilion and there was nothing else. He thought for a while, looked at the ball in his hand, and prepared to go downstairs with the ball in his hand to study with Luoluo what the ball was. But when he got to the stairs, he found that he couldn't go down at all. There was a resistance from the stairs that prevented him from going downstairs. Xuanhuan did not use his spiritual power to force his way downstairs, because the resistance had no intention of harming him. It should have told him that the ball could not be taken out. Good. He threw the ball in his hand and was about to go downstairs and discuss it with Luoluo before coming back up. However, the ball he threw quickly flew back and fell into his hand again. This time he couldn't throw it out. Same in his hands. Xuanhuan's phoenix eyes flashed and he realized that he must solve the ball problem before he could leave Qingyun Pavilion. In this case, Xuanhuan was not in a hurry and went downstairs. He released his mental power to wrap the ball and find out what was inside the ball, and then he could figure out what the ball was used for. However, the mental power could not detect anything, and it seemed as if something was isolated inside the ball. Xuanhuan frowned, and suddenly thought that he had been dripping blood to confirm his identity since he entered the Ji family's residence and clan area. Does this ball also need to drip blood to confirm his identity? Thinking of this, he did not hesitate. He had to solve the problem, so he gave it a try. He stretched out the index finger of his other hand and forced a drop of blood to fall on the ball. As soon as the drop of blood fell on it, it was sucked into the ball. Immediately, the whole ball shone brightly, not white light, but golden light, and the ball left the palm of his hand. It hit him in the face. Xuanhuan instinctively closed his eyes and stretched out his other hand to block the incoming ball, but the ball actually passed through his palm, a dazzling light flashed, and the ball disappeared before his eyes. At the same time, there was a similar ball in his consciousness. Before he could realize what the ball was, he saw the ball stretching out its limbs, its cute little paws trembling, and then another one appeared. When he turned his head, his whole body shook, and a snow-white tiger cub appeared in his consciousness. Xuanhuan was shocked. That ball was actually a little tiger? The little tiger seemed to have just woken up. Because it had been curled up in the light ball for too long, its limbs kept stretching and it also made a few jumping movements. Cute like a cat. Xuanhuan had calmed down, and his consciousness communicated with the little white tiger, "Who are you?" The little tiger's movements suddenly stopped. His big tiger eyes were watery, and his childish voice said happily, "Master, you finally came to me." Zhizhong frowned. "Master." He had just dripped blood, and he should have made a contract with the little tiger. He was indeed his master, but he knew very well that the master he meant by the little tiger did not mean the same thing as what he understood. Just as he was thinking, the little tiger rushed out of his consciousness and fell into his arms. A pair of tiger eyes looked at Zhizhong excitedly. "Master, your reincarnated appearance has not changed at all." Although the little white tiger did not open its mouth, its voice clearly appeared in Zhizhong's consciousness. Zhizhong raised his eyebrows and asked, "Are you my spiritual pet in the previous life?" When the little white tiger heard the word spiritual pet, he immediately became unhappy. "Master, this is not a spiritual pet, but a white tiger, one of the 4 sacred beasts." Zhizhong held Baihu's hand and paused. Is this little white dumpling in front of him the legendary white tiger? Isn't that also a spiritual pet? Zhizhong controlled his emotions very well. Although he was shocked in his heart, he showed no emotion on the surface. The white tiger was unhappy and defended, "Master, they are divine beasts, not lowly spiritual pets." "I don't see any difference." Zhizhong reached out and held the white tiger by the neck, dangled it in front of his eyes, looked at it carefully and came to this conclusion. The white tiger he was carrying was struggling hard, but when he heard his comments, he stopped moving. Zhizhong poked its soft belly with the index finger of his other hand. "Why don't you talk?" The white tiger looked at him pitifully with a pair of tiger eyes and said, "Master, have you not recovered the memory of your previous life? Part of it has been restored, but you are not included in it." Zhizhong's words were very ruthless. The white tiger was immediately discouraged. After sensing it, he found that Zhizhong only had one spiritual pet. Although it was a bird, it was not a suzaku. He sighed and said, "The 3 of them haven't met their master yet." "Who are they?" Zhizhong asked. White Tiger said with a look of despair, "Xuanhuan, Suzaku, and Qinglong." Zhizhong's eyes twitched. "Are they all my spiritual pets?" Baihu no longer struggled with Zhizhong's description of them as spiritual pets. He nodded and said, "Yes, the 4 of us only identify with one master." Zhizhong narrowed his eyes and saw that one of the 4 great beasts was the master. How could he have seen this before? He quickly thought about the ancient books he had read and the information he had learned after arriving in the higher continent, and finally remembered where he had seen the information about the 4 sacred beasts. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 657. Chapter 657 Fragrant White Tiger. He had seen information about the 4 great beasts in the historical records of the higher continent. At that time, because the information was not something he paid attention to, he just glanced at it. However, he had a photographic memory, so he naturally remembered the content. The 4 great beasts are actually one of the 12 ancient beasts. Later, the 4 great beasts became the guardian beasts of heaven and earth. As long as the 4 great beasts are present, the continent will be stable. However, the 4 great beasts will not recognize their master. They all quietly guard one side of the continent. There is only one situation in which the 4 great beasts will recognize their master. That means that the continent is unstable and is in danger of destruction. At this time, a powerful mainland warrior is needed to save the continent. The 4 great beasts will recognize this person as their master and assist him in completing the task of saving the continent. Zhizhong glanced at the white tiger, which was not much bigger than a cloud. Is this a white tiger, a mythical beast? Not a deterrent at all. Besides, since the 4 great beasts recognized themselves as masters in the previous life, what crisis has arisen in the mainland? Which continent is this continent from? No matter where it is, it will definitely not be the current 9UN continent. Why is Zhizhong so sure? Because there are only 4 of the 4 great divine beasts. There are many higher continents like Zhuyan continent. It is impossible for every continent to be guarded by 4 divine beasts. Then, the continent guarded by the 4 great divine beasts must be higher than the higher continents. There is only one continent higher than the mainland, Xianxia. This is the highest continent he knows so far. In other words, in the life when the 4 great beasts recognized themselves as masters, they were from the 9 heavens. There is only one possibility for the 4 great beasts to recognize their master. Can you tell me which continent you are guarding? What crisis has arisen on the continent that will lead to its destruction? Zhizhong did not let go of Baihu's hand. Baihu shook his head. Master, you know all this yourself, but the master has not recovered the memory of his previous life yet, but I can't say these things, and I can't tell them. As long as the master finds the other 3 and the 4 of us get together, the master will restore all memories, and you will know everything by then. Zhizhong wanted to know if the memory he had awakened was from the life when he contracted with the 4 divine beasts. It seemed that he would have to wait until the 4 divine beasts gathered together. Where are the 3 of them? Zhizhong asked. White Tiger shook his head. It's all arranged by the master himself, I don't know. Zhizhong narrowed his eyes and said, does that mean you are a waste now? White Tiger immediately sensed a crisis, and his snow-white fur suddenly exploded. Master, my strength was only sealed because of Master's reincarnation. When the 4 of us get together, I will regain my strength. It is a majestic white tiger, how can it be associated with waste? It's still a waste now, Zhizhong said without mercy. He was not someone who could be fooled. Master, I am not useless now. The mistress liked me the most before. I can help the master to please the mistress. Baihu found an idea to find his status. Mistress? Do you know who the mistress is? Zhizhong stared at her. Baihu said, of course I know. Didn't you swear to be together for eternity? Zhizhong was stunned. Could it be that he and Luoluo had more than just previous lives? Now he wants to know more about the life when he was the master of the 4 sacred beasts? Is it the last life or several more lives? Zhizhong thought more. According to the 5 elements, the 4 major beasts correspond to the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, and fire. The east belongs to wood, the west belongs to metal, the south belongs to fire, and the north belongs to water. The green one belonging to wood is a green dragon, the white one belonging to gold is a white tiger, the red one belonging to fire is a vermilion bird, the black one belonging to water is Xuanhuan. However, the 5 elements still lack one element of earth, and there are only 4 mythical beasts that cannot guard the mainland. Therefore, according to the 5 elements, there is another mythical beast in the center. The center belongs to earth and is yellow, so this mythical beast is the yellow dragon. Baihu said that the 4 great divine beasts became their master, but he did not say that Huanglong recognized himself as his master, and they still chased him to reincarnate and recognize him as their master, which meant that the mission in that life was not completed. I don't know how long it has been, and Zhizhongtian is now. How did it maintain its existence until now when it didn't even have a mythical beast? Since the 4 great beasts are chasing after his reincarnation, it means that this mission will continue. However, the Tianmen from Zhuyuan continent to the 9 heavens is sealed. This is what the human emperor told him. How can he complete the mission if he cannot go to the 9 heavens? For a moment, Zhizhong felt as if the burden on his body was so heavy that he could no longer carry it. Thinking of this, he threw the white tiger to the ground. Then it depends on your ability. If you make Luoluo happy, you are not a waste. White Tiger breathed a sigh of relief. Is it easy for it to be a majestic divine beast? It would be a disgrace to the divine beast to behave like this, but there is no way. This master's character has not changed even after reincarnation. It does not dare to offend him. He does not want to feel the master's methods. Let's please the hostess and wait for the 3 of them to come. Thinking that the mistress liked him very much in the past, Baihu was still very confident in this task. Why are you here? What happened to the Ji family's lucky people? Ji Zhong asked. Since the human emperor said that you can find out by opening the Qingyun pavilion, this matter should be able to be said. Perhaps there will be a person with good fortune in every generation of the Ji family, who is prepared for his own reincarnation. Otherwise, how can we explain that he is the only one with good fortune who opened the door of Qingyun pavilion? Behu said, my master arranged for me to wait here for him. I don't know what happened to the Ji family's destiny, but my master's destiny is very special. Ji Zhong knew it, and couldn't ask anything else from Behu, but when he thought that Behu said that he and Lugo were destined for life, he felt very happy. He didn't care about other things, as long as he and Lugo were not separated. What's going on with the aroma in Qingyun pavilion? Ji Zhong asked again. White Tiger's eyes flashed when he heard this, but he was speechless. Ji Zhong could tell there was something wrong with it at a glance. Tell the truth. White Tiger covered his eyes with his little paws and said sheepishly, the mistress likes fragrant spiritual pets, so I will absorb the fragrance of these flowers to make myself smell better. Ji Zhong was speechless. He considered himself very smart and his brain was extremely useful, but even if he thought about it, he couldn't think of this reason. This time I smelled it carefully. Not to mention, there was indeed some fragrance on Behu's body. It was not the strong floral fragrance he smelled on the first and second floors. It was faint. I couldn't tell what kind of floral fragrance it was. It should be that the floral fragrance was too mixed, forming a unique fragrance in his body. It's light and refreshing, Lugo should like it. In Ji Zhong's eyes, the white tiger, the mythical beast, only has one role now, which is to make Lugo happy. Does Qingyun Pavilion have other functions? Ji Zhong asked after looking around. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 658. Chapter 658, Waste White Tiger. Ji Zhong didn't even know what he was thinking in that life. It was just a mythical beast. Wouldn't it be a waste of space to put it in such a big Qingyun pavilion? Behu said, Qingyun pavilion is a sacred artifact. It is the place where our four great beasts live. After we all recognize the master as the master, Qingyun pavilion belongs to the master. I was the first one assigned to Qingyun pavilion by the master at that time, so Qingyun pavilion it has become a place where I wait for my master to come back after reincarnation. Where do the four mythical beasts live? Ji Zhong was a little surprised. There was no record of the places where the four great beasts lived, whether in historical records or ancient books. Don't the four great beasts live in separate places? How can they live in the same place? Can I take Qingyun pavilion away? Ji Zhong asked again. Since Qingyun pavilion was his before, he can take it away now. White Tiger shook his head and said, we can't take it away now. We have to wait until the four of us find the owner. Ji Zhong twitched the corner of his mouth and said that it belonged to him, but in fact it belonged to the four great beasts. He couldn't control Qingyun pavilion even if one of them was missing. Ji Zhong didn't ask anything anymore, it was in vain. He carried the white tiger and walked downstairs. Since Qingyun pavilion couldn't take it away, he should leave it here first. No one else could come in here anyway. He still wants to get the magic weapon of the Ji family. Now it seems that the magic weapon of the Ji family should have been his once, and now it is just returned to its original owner. This time he was indeed able to go downstairs easily. When he came to the entrance of Qingyun pavilion, he saw Lugo busy among the flowers. He walked out. As soon as he went out, Lugo sensed it. He stood up and turned to look at him. You came out so soon. Well, there's nothing inside except this little thing. Ji Zhong raised the white tiger in his hand and said. Lugo's apricot eyes suddenly lit up when she saw the white tiger. What a cute little tiger. The fiery red figure ran out from the flowers, took the white tiger from Ji Zhong's hand, held it in one hand and stroked the white tiger's smooth fur with the other. The white tiger obediently allowed her to ravage him. After all, the only way he could do now was to please his mistress. "Hey, why does it smell so good?" Xianxia is an alchemist and is very sensitive to smells, so she immediately smelled the fragrance of the white tiger. She smelled it carefully and said, "The mixed floral fragrance is as diverse as the flowers in the garden." Xuanhuan admired Xianxia's ability. There were many alchemists on the mainland, but she was the only one with such a keen sense of smell. The fragrance of the flowers in the courtyard was sucked into Xuanhuan Pavilion by it, just to make the body smell fragrant, Xuanhuan explained. He didn't want Luo to worry about the fragrance of flowers, so he made it clear directly. Yang said clearly, "I also discovered that the fragrance of flowers in the courtyard is sucked in by a force. It turns out that it is such a cute little tiger who it in. He is quite capable." The white tiger really wanted to tell Xianxialuo that it was one of the 4 great mythical beasts, and that it was quite capable. However, at this time, it can only use its spiritual consciousness to communicate with its master Xuanhuan, and cannot speak, so it can only give up. Forget it, as long as the mistress likes it, his purpose will be achieved. Xuanhuan saw that Xianxialuo really liked the fragrance of the white tiger body, but he was very satisfied with the effect of the white tiger. "If Luo likes it, I'll let you play with it," Xuanhuan said. Xianxialuo immediately shook her head. "You have already made a contract with this little white tiger, right? I just think it is cute. This is the first time I have seen a fragrant white tiger. I don't need a spiritual pet to play with, and my clouds are also very cute. Xuanhuan in Pangu space was immediately elated when he heard Xianxialuo's words. He had just seen his master care so little about the little tiger, and thought he was about to fall out of favor. It seems that his master still likes it the most. It immediately came out of the Pangu space, and landed on Xianxialuo's shoulder. He glanced at the white tiger in Xianxialuo's hand, stretched out his short legs and kicked the white tiger out. Then he fell into Xianxialuo's hand and rubbed her soft body against her palm, meaning, "Master, please smooth my hair, I'm better behaved than the white tiger." Xianxialuo laughed out loud, rubbed Xuanhuan and said to Xuanhuan, "Look, my Xuanhuan is even jealous." The white tiger, who was kicked out by the clouds, turned somersaults in mid-air and landed firmly on the ground. After hearing Xianxialuo's words, he immediately felt that his future life would not be easy. She is all scented, and it is her favorite light fragrance, so why is she still not favored? What kind of spiritual beast is this little white dumpling? Why does it feel a familiar aura? After careful inspection, it is gone. White tiger was extremely puzzled. Xuanhuan glanced at the white tiger. It was really useless, even a cloud could be kicked away. Is it really the white tiger, one of the 4 mythical beasts? The most important thing is that Luo doesn't seem to like it that much. Xuanhuan glanced at Xianxialuo, who was coaxing Xuanhuan gently. He felt that he was also a little jealous. Luo seemed to have never coaxed herself so gently. Xianxialuo coaxed Xuanhuan not to forget about Xuanhuan Pavilion. "Zhekong, why is the little white tiger in Xuanhuan Pavilion? The Ji family has been extinct for 30,000 years. The Xuanhuan Pavilion existed during the first generation of the Ji family. This little white tiger should have been in it at that time. Is the white tiger a mythical beast? Otherwise, how could you have such a long life? Sacred beast? White tiger? Don't wait for Xuanhuan to answer Xianxialuo, isn't it one of the 4 big beasts, right?" Xianxialuo looked at the little white tiger that was kicked away by the clouds and fell to the ground. She couldn't believe that the white tiger, one of the 4 mythical beasts, could look so cute. In her knowledge, the mythical beast white tiger has a pair of fiercely gleaming eyes and a majestic body. The little white tiger in front of me, which is bigger than the clouds, looks like a newborn baby tiger. It doesn't look like the mythical white tiger. Jijudian nodded, it is the sacred beast white tiger, but now its power is sealed, so it is just a little waste. Yan Xiongluo's mouth twitched, little waste? White tiger is trash. The white tiger was extremely wronged, but he didn't dare to refute Jizhong's words. If the mistress liked it, it could still be powerful, but now it seemed that the mistress preferred her own spiritual beast. It worked hard to make itself smell good, but it didn't steal the mistress's favor. Why is it so difficult to make the mistress like it? Yan Xiongluo smiled immediately when she saw the aggrieved and afraid to say out expression of the white tiger, who hasn't been in trouble yet. It looks very cute like this. When the seal is lifted, you won't see a white tiger like this anymore. The white tiger nodded its little head, but no, it would be the majestic white tiger by then. The white dumpling in her arms was nothing, she could kick it out of the mainland with one kick. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 659. Chapter 659, To Change Luck. But the confidence that Yan Xiongluo's words gave Baihu was immediately shattered by Jizhong's next words. Luoluo likes it, it can always be like this, Jizhong said in a gentle tone. Baihu thought that Qinglong, Suzaku, and Xuanhuan were all majestic and domineering beasts, and that he could only look like such a small and cute pet. He suddenly felt that his tiger life was extremely dark, and it could no longer see the light and future, so he lay on the ground motionless. I thought to myself, where are those three? Come back quickly. It has changed from a fragrant tiger to a waste tiger, and then to a good and obedient tiger. The owner still won't let it go, and wants it to remain a little naughty tiger. When you come back, you can at least share the attention, so that the owner doesn't have to look at him with disgust. Fall on it. Good brothers are those who share blessings and hardships. After hearing Jizhong's words, Yan Xiongluo finally understood that Jizhong disliked Baihu. That's not necessary, I still like the way the divine beasts protect the continent with domineering power, Yan Xiongluo said helplessly. When Baihu heard this, his eyes suddenly widened, as if he was confirming whether what Yan Xiongluo said was true. In the past, she looked like the domineering guardian beast that she liked, but at that time she thought she had no fragrance and was not cute. Now that she has finally become the look she once liked, she also said that she likes the look of it domineeringly guarding the continent. Let the tiger live well. Haven't her preferences changed in another life? But the master's preferences haven't changed at all. He still likes whatever this woman likes. Well. Baihu sighed heavily in his heart, always feeling that the thoughts of his master and mistress in this life were even more difficult to guess. Jizhong could see the white tiger's changing expression from the corner of his eye, and he could naturally guess what it was thinking. He secretly said in his heart, what a stupid tiger. I hope the other three will not be like it. If this is really the case, he feels that he already knows why he failed to complete the mission of saving the continent in his previous life. They were the ones who made him stupid. Yan Xiongluo didn't care whether Jizhong liked Baihu or not. He could handle his own spiritual beast, no, divine beast. Turning to look at Qingyun Pavilion, he asked, do you know why a person with destiny appears in every generation of the Ji family? Yan Xiongluo was a little skeptical. It was just a bad white tiger that was disliked by Jizhong. It probably didn't have any important information, and maybe it was something they couldn't know based on their current strength. Jizhong said, it should be related to my last life. The four great beasts were my contract beasts in my last life. Jizhong told Yan Xiongluo everything he knew from Baihu. Luoluo may have left her parents to make a life on her own since she was a child, and she didn't feel safe at all. The last time she concealed her intention to sign up for the continental competition, she almost broke up with him. He didn't want her to drift away from him because he was hiding something. Yan Xiangluo said in surprise, "Have we really promised to be together for eternity?" Ji Zhong was very happy to see that her focus was also on this. Look, Luoluo also valued their feelings the most. It should be, no matter how stupid it is still a divine beast, and there is no mistaking it. Ji Zhong glanced at Baihu, who was lying on the ground in despair. The white tiger, which had done nothing and was implicated, didn't even move. This was its fate. If it knew 2 words, it would definitely be suitable to use these 2 words to describe it at this time, that is, cannon fodder. Hearing this, Yan Xiangluo continued to caress the clouds in her hand, and glanced at the white tiger lying on the ground. Which life is it? Ji Zhong shook his head. I don't know which life it is now, whether it is the time when we awaken our memories. Not in that life. It said that I can only recover the memory of that life after the 4 great beasts are found. Yan Xiangluo let out a long sigh. Do we live for the mainland all our lives? Now I know that Ji Zhong was like this in the life when he contracted with Baihu, and I am afraid that it was also like this in his last life. Otherwise, how could the master and senior brothers be willing to make such a big sacrifice? Isn't the Ji family's magic weapon here? Yan Xiangluo asked. She stopped worrying about these issues and just took it one step at a time. Things were beyond her expectation now, and it was useless to think too much. Ji Zhong said, "It's not here. I guess the Ji family's magic weapon is from my lifetime and is in the ancestral hall of the clan." Yan Xiangluo was speechless. All the way from Tianqian continent to Zhuyuan continent, she kept getting things from another life. Ji Zhong was the same now. Their fates were really similar. Is it so difficult that we promise to be together for eternity? It seems that the oath cannot be made casually, and it will not involve life and death. I didn't know how deeply I fell in love with Ji Zhong in that life, so I made such a promise. Anyway, in this life, she hasn't felt that she can't survive without Ji Zhong, which means that her love is not that deep. Yan Xiangluo found that she seemed to be a lot colder in this life. Although she was still kind in her heart, she had a certain degree of kindness. She was willing to be kind as long as it did not affect her own safety. Are you becoming more selfish as you live longer? Sigh, she was a little depressed, and she always felt like she had no control over her own life. Where is the ancestral hall? Yan Xiangluo was speechless. Outside the imperial city, there was Ji Garden, a place dedicated to the ancestors of the Ji family. Why is there an ancestral hall here? Ji Zhong took her hand and walked to the back door of the meeting hall in front. There was no other door in this courtyard, so you could only go out wherever you entered. In another courtyard, Ji Zhong said as he walked. It is clear that the ancestral hall is in front of the meeting hall courtyard and in the back is the Qingyun Pavilion courtyard. The ancestral hall is not here but in another courtyard. Thinking about the large area of buildings in the Ji family's land that I saw before, I'm not surprised that the ancestral hall is in another place. The 2 of them came out of the meeting hall and left Xuanhuan. Ji Zhong took her to continue walking towards the family group behind. Yan Xiangluo asked, "You said that the people in Yunshangtian are not only for the Ji family's Ji Yin Xianwen technique, but the most important thing is because of the destiny people who appear in every generation of the Ji family, but you did not say that this destiny, what is it about people that attracts them?" Ji Zhong glanced at her and said, "They want to change their luck." Yan Xiangluo stared at her for a moment. She is now a heavenly master, so she naturally knows how to change her luck. Moreover, she also saw Fang 11ER's luck changed in the continental competition, and she secretly helped her change her luck. However, that is Fang 11ER's own destiny, and she will not suffer any divine punishment or punishment. For people like the Ji family who have destiny, no matter what kind of heavenly master can do it, even if they can do it, who dares to change it? End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 660. Chapter 660 Unable to Succeed. There are such powerful heavenly masters in Yunshangtian. Yanzhangluo now understood why the people in Yunshangtian paid such a high price to destroy the Ji family. Emotion is that someone wants to change the destiny of the Ji family emperor. Ji Zhozhong shook his head. None of the previous human emperors have been to Yunshangtian. I saw the spiritual consciousness photo left by the last human emperor in the palace. He said that every human emperor will be invited to Yunshangtian, but, the Ji family has a rule that the human emperor can ascend to the 9 heavens, but cannot go to the Yunshangtian. Therefore, the human emperor has never been to the Yunshangtian. Perhaps it is because of this that they have no choice but to use this method. The Ji family was destroyed in this way. When the human emperor took people to repair the barrier with Zhozongtian, the people of Yunshangtian had already prepared to replace the human emperor's fate. However, they still underestimated Ji's destiny. The human emperor's family has the strength of Tianyuan, but they did not succeed in changing their luck, so the human emperor knew their true purpose of framing the Ji family. Yanzhangluo thought for a while and said, even if their plan succeeds, luck may not lead to success. Why? Ji Zhozhong asked. He knows that Luoluo is a heavenly master and knows more about changing destiny than he does. Luck also has high and low levels, and there are many kinds. The heavenly master who changes people's luck will be punished by heaven. Although there are some methods that can transform the punishment of heaven, but they are evil ways. Once the heavenly master uses it, he will no longer be a pure heavenly master. And it can only be a less powerful divine punishment. The weaker the luck, the smaller the divine punishment will be for people like your Ji family. I think there is a heavenly master who can bear the punishment of heaven, unless the other party is prepared to bear all the consequences, but I don't think he can succeed. Although Yanzhangluo is not sure, one thing she knows very well is that no matter how powerful the heavenly master is, he is still under the control of heavenly Dao. Those who have destiny are chosen by heaven. How can heaven allow someone to go against him? I heard from Ji Zhozhong that he had the responsibility to save the mainland in his last life, but he just didn't complete it. In this case, this destiny cannot be changed by a heavenly master. Otherwise, I wouldn't have followed him into this life. There will be no more people in the Ji family who have destiny from generation to generation. It is probably just to wait for him, the person who really has destiny, to come. Ji Zhozhong understood after listening to Yanzhangluo's words. Luoluo meant that the reason why the human emperor was not successfully transferred by the people in Yunshangtian was mainly because the law of heaven did not allow it. They may not know this, and even if they do, they won't give up. A dark light flashed through Ji Zhozhong's phoenix eyes. He has returned, and there is a lot of noise. The people in Yunshangtian must also know about it. They will never give up and will definitely take measures against him. In the past, the Ji family was so powerful that they would dare to take action. Now that he was the only one in the Ji family, they had nothing to fear. Especially since I haven't broken through to the level yet, it's a good time to deal with him. Yanzhangluo agreed with his idea. Greedy people will not give up until they achieve their goals. At the same time, he was also worried about Ji Zhozhong's safety. I'm curious, what do they want Tianyuan for? If it's to go to the 9 heavens, can't they go to the 9 heavens with their own strength? Yanzhangluo was very puzzled. After all, those who can go to Yunshangtian are those who have overcome tribulations and cultivated themselves. The aura of Yunshangtian is particularly rich, and it is the place closest to the 9 heavens. As long as they practice hard, it shouldn't be that difficult to go to the 9 heavens. It's good now. The gate to the 9th heaven is sealed, and no one can go there. Ji Zhozhong said, those in the Ji family who have destiny can inherit the position of emperor and rule the spiritual world of Zhuyuan continent. Do people who want destiny want to rule Zhozongtian? Yan Xiongluo's apricot eyes flashed and she asked, every emperor of your Ji family has been able to go to the 9 heavens. Except for the last one, have they ever ruled the 9 heavens? Ji Zhozhong also felt that this didn't make sense. If this was really the case, wouldn't the ancestors of the Ji family have ruled Zhozongtian for a long time? How could they watch Zhuyuan continent be sealed and the Ji family be destroyed? There are some things that cannot be understood now. It is troublesome enough to reach the sky with just one cloud, and the 9th level of the sky is beyond their reach now. Ji Zhozhong thought for a while and then said, we don't know what Yunchangtian is like now. No one has come and gone for 30,000 years. There is no record of Yunchangtian in the mainland's historical records. Except for Yun's Hang Palace, I'm afraid no one knows about it. Yunchangtian exists. If you want to understand Yunchangtian, I'm afraid you have to start from Yunshang Palace. The information the human emperor told him was still too little. After all, the human emperor had never been to Yunchangtian. Especially 30,000 years have passed. Yan Xiongluo sighed, it's better to improve your cultivation level first, otherwise you won't be qualified to know. Ji Zhozhong naturally understood that strength was their strongest backing. However, seeing Yan Xiongluo's shocked look, he thought that she still had to pass one level of the Pangu flower blooming technique, and asked, does Luoluo feel like the 3rd level of Pangu flower blooming has just begun? Yan Xiongluo shook her head, not yet, I guess we should start breaking through to the saint level. The 3rd level of Pangu Huikai is to break through to the level. Yan Xiongluo estimated it based on experience. It is estimated that it will be difficult for her to break through to the level. Don't worry, I have a way to help you get through this, Ji Zhozhong said with certainty. Yan Xiongluo looked up at him and said, what can we do? Luoluo will know when the time comes. Tell me when the level starts. Ji Zhozhong didn't tell her what to do, and reminded her to tell him as soon as the level started. Yan Xiongluo didn't ask any further questions, okay. It would be great if there was a way, otherwise she really doesn't know how long she will stay at the saint level. And if she fails to break through to the level, she will be different from others. She failed, but she was still at the peak of the 9th level of the saint level. She would still have a chance to break through in the future. If she failed, she would risk her life. Similarly, after this level is passed, she will benefit a lot. There will be no obstacles to her cultivation, and it is not comparable to other people who have broken through to the level. The little white tiger followed the two of them, jumping up and down. There was no way, his body was too small, he couldn't keep up with them just by walking. If he used strength, Bai Hu was worried about attracting their attention, mainly Ji Zhozhong's attention, and he would be disliked, so he could only do this. Follow behind. Yun Tuan jumped onto Yan Xiongluo's shoulder and lay on her shoulder. Watching Bai Hu follow with great effort, he felt very beautiful. White Tiger was also speechless. He was also a spiritual pet, so why did he do so poorly? It was like this in the last life, and it is still like this in this life. End of this chapter.